Now, Danelectro guitars have always done things, well, a little bit different. And for 2023, they've just released a brand new model. This is the 59 Triple Divine. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having an excellent day today. As you know, I love to bring you interesting and unique guitars. Today we are looking at, yes, the 59 Triple Divine from Danelectro. Now, if you remember the original 59 Divine, it was released a few years ago. Obviously just had the two pickups. Here we've got the Triple Divine, so we've got 3 lipstick pickups, so it should be pretty interesting. Now, in the past few years, Danelectro has been busy upgrading their product lines, and this year there's a few notable upgrades centered around the pickups. So they've redone the lipstick tube enclosures. If you don't know, the original story, the Danelectro factory was located very close to Max Factor, who is, of course, making cosmetics. So yeah, they saw all these lipstick tubes and they're like, As I said, Danelectro's always done things differently. They designed a pickup to go inside these lipstick tubes. So that's how, these lipstick pickups came to be. So yeah, they've redone the enclosures and they've looked at some of the original Max Factor lipstick tubes, and they made these ones metallurgically, closer to the originals. They've also redone the pickups inside the tube, so they've reverse engineered some of those original ones and made these closer to the originals. So they're definitely trying to get the original Danelectro tone, which is pretty cool. Now, as for the rest of the 59 Triple Divine, Danelectro has elected to keep the headstock nice and clean. All you see is, of course, that stylized D, established 1947. You can see the tuning machines and everything look very vintage. On the backside here, there's a look at, the vintage style tuning machines. Back to the front, we've got an actual bone nut. That is awesome to see. The geometry of, the Danelectro headstock is excellent in terms of how the strings go through the nut. Almost no tilt back there. So yeah, tuning should not be an issue on this guitar with that bone nut and the straight string pull. Love to see that. And of course, without that tilt back, it's going to be very strong. Maple neck, what looks to me like a rosewood fingerboard. I know they've used Pau Ferro in the past, but I think we're back to rosewood as far as I can tell. It really does look like rosewood, so that's great. The body is man-made pressed material, classic Danelectro, and it is a true hollow body design. So there's an outer frame that, of course, keeps in place the top and the back. Everything else is floating other than a block under the bridge. So that's like, how Gretsch would make a guitar or anything like that. Completely hollow, except for a block, which hopefully I'll be able to show you in a second. All these screws here are for adjusting your pickups. So you can see how clean it is on the front. No screws on either side of the lipstick, just gives it a very clean look. And then on the back side, you can tilt your pickup, raise or lower it. So this is the neck, middle, and bridge right there. And I've pulled the back off the guitar. As you can see, full-size pots. That is always great. Nice metal switch there. No plastic on there. And if I can get a shot, hopefully, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but yeah, there's the block underneath. So hopefully the camera will adjust. There you go. You can see the ground wire going into the block. Behind the block and in front of the block, it's completely hollow. And that's what gives, the Danelectro that attack and that tone. The bridge just sits on the top and it is top loaded, as hopefully you can see there. So unlike a Tele where the strings would go through the back, this is top loaded. So a very unique way of making a guitar. Danelectro just is different. And so yeah, let's plug this thing in. Those are the basic specs. Of course, I'll link to it down in the video description below for full specs. But other than that, yeah, let's plug this thing in and see if it still delivers that classic Danelectro tone. Yes, that bridge pickup has all that Danelectro character. It's got the chime, it's got the sizzle, it's jangly. Great tone there for sure. Now, normally on a Danelectro, we'd go to, the outside pickup, sort of like a Tele, but here we've got the triple divine, so we've got position 2. Of course, we'll hit up some of these pickups with some gain afterwards, but I just want to see what they sound like clean, so let's try position 2 there. So to my ear, not having, obviously, playing a Strat back-to-back, the position 2 does sound maybe a little woodier, maybe a little darker, maybe, than a Strat. I don't know, but it still definitely has a little bit of that quack. So yeah, some good tones there for sure. Let's try position 3, maybe doing something chimey here. Yeah, really nice. Now let's try position 4. Maybe we'll play something similar. Yeah, wonderfully warm. Yeah, that sounds great. And then, of course, the neck pickup here. Right, now that we've heard a few tones on the Danelectro 59 Triple Divine, let's talk about ergonomics, playability, that kind of stuff. Now, first thing to note is this guitar, unsurprisingly, is extremely light. This guitar came in at 5.9 pounds, under 6 pounds for this guitar. So yes, in the hand, it feels very, very light. There is no headstock dive either, so they've done a great job balancing. Obviously, the headstock on, Danelectros is fairly slim. So yes, under 6 pounds, no headstock dive. So in terms of balance, it feels wonderful to play. Now, of course, there are no comfort cuts on the body. It's more of a classic design with, the binding and that kind of stuff. So it's a very, traditional design. So don't expect any comfort cuts on the body as it is a hollow body, right? So you can't really put a a belly scoop in that or whatever. So in terms of how it plays on the upper register, it has that Danelectro skinny heel joint. Not amazing. It is a little bit smaller than the neck, so you can get up there, but I can still feel, you know, that corner digging into my hand if I want to go to upper octave playing. So yes, again, not a super modern playing experience in terms of that upper heel joint. Obviously, this is the 59 Divine, so it's not supposed to be a modern guitar. Radius is very flat. So that was one of the things that when I first played my Danelectro years ago, that kind of caught me off guard, is I'm thinking, okay, vintage guitar, it's going to have a vintage radius, 7 1/4, but when you play on it, it's very, very flat. So that is something to get used to on this guitar. It's just got a very, very flat radius. As I mentioned, the nut is cut really nice. The fret ends, I think, is a slight improvement for Danelectro. They're not too bad, actually. I've played some of the earlier ones where I really felt that they could use a polish and an extra filing. I don't feel like that's necessary here. It feels like what you'd find on a Fender or a Yamaha or something like that. So in that range, not super, you know, high end, but very playable. Nothing sticking out. Nothing's gonna, you know, chew up your thumb or anything. So it all feels very nice. But yes, and in terms of the overall neck profile, just a nice rounded, there you go. Very comfortable, very Fender-esque, I would say, in terms of the back of the neck. Just a wonderfully built guitar. So fun, interesting tones. The Triple Divine adds, you know, 2 more positions over your standard Danelectro. This one is actually in, it kind of looks black on camera, but it's kind of like a deep mocha kind of color. Very, very deep chocolatey coffee kind of finish. And yeah, the hardware and everything, very, very nice. So yeah, in terms of build quality, like right on par with the previous 59 Divine, 57 Jade, some of my favorite Danelectros. So yeah, having the extra pickup in the middle, very, very cool. Now, Danelectro has also released a brand new snark tuner, the Snark Air. I've been using snarks since the very, very first one and all the way since. So this one's very different. It's got USB powered, so when you turn it on, you can see the meter of how much battery is left. And when it gets low, you just plug it in with a USB. And of course, tuning, like any other snark, is excellent. You can put it on the back of your headstock, front of your headstock. So yes, they've also released the new Snark Air. Other than that, yeah, really cool guitar. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I will link to this guitar down in the video description below. You can check it out there. Have a great day, you guys. Take care.